All right, hi mixed media students. It's Miss Florzak coming to you from my home. I hope everybody is doing well and staying safe and staying inside. Hopefully we will be coming back to school in May. But in the meantime, I'm going to create some YouTube lessons for you all and be uploading some work on Google Classroom so that you can try and improve your grade. So doing this work will definitely help bring your grade up if that's something you're interested in. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into it. All right, the unit that I've created for you guys, my mixed media classes that we'll work on for a couple weeks, is going to be called Appropriation in Art. Now, if you don't know what that means, don't worry, I'm going to teach you. So I have 4 lessons planned out so far. Lesson 4 is actually going to extend probably about a week and a half or 2 weeks, but we'll talk about that when we get to it. We're going to be starting with lesson 1, which is going to be defining and figuring out what these words mean. So appropriation, plagiarism, and copyright. So they have some overlap. It's not totally black and white what those words mean, but we will discuss it and make sure that you're familiar enough so that you can be successful with the work we're going to be doing. Lesson 2 is going to be a critique of artworks that use appropriation. Lesson 3 is going to be planning your appropriated work. So you are going to be creating a work that appropriates imagery. And the planning will be creating a sketch. And then lesson 4 is creating, refining, and presenting your appropriated artwork. Again, I said lesson 4 will be a more than 1 week lesson because you'll actually be creating something. So that takes time. Lesson 1 is what I'm going over right now. So this is kind of just an overview of what we'll be covering. So you should be watching my video right now. If you hear me talking, then you are already doing number 1. Number 2, complete the assignment in the document attached in Google Classroom. So after you watch the video, go into Google Classroom again and open up the doc, and I will make it available so that you all can edit it so you have your own document and you can answer the questions that are in there. And then make sure you press turn in so that I can go ahead and review the work that you did and give you feedback. I will add the YouTube link here once this video is done so you can click on it while you're looking at this. I will also upload the YouTube video into Google Classroom as a link so you can click on that as well. Resources, I will make sure I add websites, pictures, anything else that would be helpful in you understanding this material into Google Classroom. So definitely check for other resources. All right, let's get started. The first thing that we need to do is we need to understand what some of these terms mean. What is appropriation? What is plagiarism? What is copyright? This is in my opinion, the best way it's been described in all the many ways I've read it throughout my years of being an art teacher. And I took this from the College Board website. I teach advanced placement. So if you ever want to take an AP class with me at Diet, this is something that we will talk about. But I think you guys should know this as well, not just my AP students. So let's go ahead and I'm going to read this over to you. This will also be in Google Classroom. So if you need to read it again, it'll be there for you. All right. Ethics, artistic integrity, and plagiarism. Any work that makes use of, appropriates, photographs, published images, and or the work of other artists must show substantial and significant development beyond duplication. This is demonstrated through manipulation of the formal qualities, design, and or concept of the source. The student's individual voice should be clearly evident. It is unethical, constitutes plagiarism, and often violates copyright law simply to copy another artist's work or imagery, even in another medium, and represent it as one's own. I highlighted this sentence right here because that is really important to me. The student's individual voice should be clearly evident. So even if you're using popular imagery, or maybe not even popular imagery, but something that you saw online or that you pulled from somewhere else, the final artwork itself should have your voice coming through, not the voice of the person who originally created it. I have an example here. This is a still frame from the Batman animated series. So this is the original right here. Now, another artist took the original and just recolored it. So they didn't really do too much. They changed some of the formal qualities. So formal qualities are elements and principles of art. So yes, they changed the color. The color is different. They changed the contrast because it's black against white now. So that has been changed. But not enough change has happened. I don't feel that there is a new message coming through from this artwork versus this artwork. They're still too similar. I have an example down here that I feel like is a better example of someone who appropriated, meaning used someone else's imagery, but made enough changes that their voice comes through. So here's Mickey Mouse. This image is appropriated all the time. People love to draw Mickey Mouse. Now, if you drew Mickey Mouse and it looked exactly like this, ooh, I don't want to show you that one yet, and there were no changes to it, that's straight up copying, right? That's plagiarism. And this is definitely a copyrighted image. So you could get a 0 for that. If you sold it for money, you could get sued. So you don't want to do that. There's an artist who I look at often who uses famous cartoon characters, but he changes them significantly. So the way that he draws them, he uses these like squiggly lines where it adds his voice to this artwork. I can still tell it's Mickey Mouse because of the colors, and you can still kind of see his facial features and his hands and things like that. But it's been significantly changed. The elements and principles have been changed enough where I feel like his voice comes through. It does not seem like the same artwork as this one. It's significantly changed. Now, again, there is no right or wrong answer for this. It really depends on the person who's judging it or who's looking at it. So if you ever feel like you're not sure if you are plagiarizing or you're copying, you can always ask. Ask a couple different people's opinions. Ask me. There may not be the same answer from every person you speak to. And that's one of the difficult things in the art world is it just kind of can be dependent. But come back to this definition right here and read it again. Did you show substantial and significant development beyond duplication? This does not. This looks fairly duplicated to me. This does not look duplicated. It looks fairly different. It looks substantially changed from this image right here. So that's the first example I wanted to show you. And I have another one we're going to look at here. All right, so we are looking at a Han Dynasty urn with the Coca-Cola logo. And this is from 1993. The artist name is Weiwei. And I think we can all immediately say we know what has been appropriated here. We know what is recognizable, and that is that Coca-Cola symbol, right? He copied that. He took that from Coke, but he placed it on an object that we've never seen that Coca-Cola logo placed on. So we need to look a little bit more closely at this and say, all right, is the artist's voice coming through, or does it simply just look like a duplication of something else we've seen before? So let's figure out what this urn is. What is this Han Dynasty urn? That might help us. So I did a little bit of research. The Han Dynasty is in the Second Imperial Dynasty of China, and it's considered a golden age of Chinese history. It took place during 2006 BC, and it ended in 220 AD. So that was 2,000 years ago. So this urn is very, very old, and it represents a different time in Chinese history. The artist himself is Chinese, so I'm, guessing that he chose this object intentionally to represent a different time in the history from where he is from. Now, Coca-Cola is modern, and it represents a very different time in the world. I read into this a little bit, and I actually found some information from the artist, and he said that the Coca-Cola symbol represents capitalism, which is a newer development. It's much more modern. And China is actually starting to change, and it has been changing for a while. And he said he's commenting on how capitalism is infiltrating China. So even though he appropriated the Coca-Cola symbol, he has an original message, and his voice is coming through in this artwork, and it is not a direct copy. If he had put the Coca-Cola symbol on an aluminum can, that would be a problem. That would definitely not be original, and that would be considered plagiarism or copyright infringement. So this is one more example of how artists can use appropriation, but still create an original piece of art. So you guys are going to be doing that. So let's go back to our documents. Once we get to lesson 3, you are going to start planning an appropriated artwork. So I'm not going to tell you too much more about that now because I want to make sure that you all have an understanding of these terms, and then we'll do some critiques of other artworks that use appropriation just to make sure everybody fully understands what it is. And then when we get to lesson 3 and 4, I'm actually going to have you all pick some artworks to appropriate imagery from, but create something new. So I'm gonna ask you to steal imagery from famous artists, but make something new out of it. I have one example I wanna show you just to kind of get you thinking about what you're gonna do. We're not gonna talk too much about it during this lesson, but we'll get into it more at another time. So this artwork is called The Son of Man, and it's by artist Rene Magritte. And this is an artwork by a high school student. So the student appropriated some imagery from this painting to create a new artwork. They also appropriated the image of the iPhone. But putting this together, it has a new context, a new meaning, and we will dive a little deeper into that in lesson 2. But for today, you're really gonna just need to, oh, you guys can hear my dog drinking some water. Today, you're just gonna focus on showing me that you understand these 3 terms here, and that's what will be in that document, and just making sure that you understand the information that is on, I apologize, on this doc right here. So you're gonna need to read over this, and I'm gonna give you guys a few more examples of artworks, and I want you to be able to tell me if it's copied or plagiarized, or if it's more appropriated. And just give me some explanations of why you think that, and try to use evidence from this right here to defend what you think. So those instructions will all be written out in Google Classroom if you need to read them again. But you can come back to the video and watch this again if that would be helpful as well. Please feel free to get a hold of me through email. I will check it multiple times a day to make sure I'm available to help you guys out. And that's it for lesson 1. All right, talk to you guys soon.